YouTube. What's going on, guys? Lego PC bringing you guys another video. I just wanted to get this one out a while ago and I'm just finally gonna do it. And what came in? Look what came in the other day. I've got the IPv2 with the black Kayfun Nano Edition. Purchased this off a Reddit user. This thing is pretty sick. It's crafted, I believe it's by Pro. It's made really well, and it came with a glass tank and the clear plastic tank, regular size. I've got all the colored tanks. So this thing is originally, when they first started selling these, were like God, I want to say they were like $100 bucks when they first came out. I got it on Reddit in a trade for a Fogger V4. I was kind of tired of my Fogger and wanted something a little stealthier. So yeah, we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at the IPv2 coming up soon. Very cool. Let's see it pop up to 50 watts. And we're only at 31. The only issue is this touch button does get in the way a little bit. Not to say I haven't played with it. It is actually very cool. As soon as you release an atomizer, it turns off. Very cool. I like that. It's a nice little safety issue. But you know, besides all that points, we'll get to this in the review. Don't worry about that. This is only a couple days old, so I don't want to go too far. I haven't had any issues with it yet. But again, just like the Cana, you never know. Something might pop up here, so I'm not going to pretend that this guy's 100% yet, so we'll wait on that guy. And next to my other DNAs and all sorts of box mods, but we're going to pull out this box mod. What we're going to talk about today is the Smok RSBT Hybrid. And the reason I want to talk about this guy is because nobody has. I've looked up a couple of reviews on YouTube, and what I've seen is mostly some European, some foreign reviews on it. I think I've seen like 2 or 3 Brits do reviews on it, but nobody in America really has, and I find that kind of interesting, especially since it's been out for a while. I think this has been out for a couple months. Good vape. The kicker on this guy. Well, you know what, before we go into the kicker, before we do everything here, let me see if I can find the box that originally came in, and I'll show you what it looks like. That's a Kayfun. Oh, I know the box is around here somewhere. What did I do with it? Ah, here we go. So we have the Smok RSBT Hybrid. Came in this guy. It's a single coil. It says it can do 1.7 to down to 0.2 ohms. I haven't tried a build that low, and what we're going to do is once we take it apart, we'll re-wick it for you. I'm not going to rebuild it for you. It comes in a little container like that. This includes both the atomizer and the glass drip tip, which I thought was a pretty good deal. On the back, you'll see some coils, you'll see some wick, you'll see screws, all sorts of stuff. They sent a lot of stuff actually extra with it. Obviously, I have containers and containers and containers of extra wick and extra screwdrivers and extra screws, so I'm not really worried about that, but you know, it's always nice for them to send stuff like that. Of course, you have the authenticity sticker on there, so you can check to make sure it's authentic. Again, just like the Caterpillar, a Smok item is pretty cheap. I'm not going to worry about authenticity. I don't think anybody's reproducing these. At least I would really hope not, considering how cheap it is in the first place. There's really no point for that. Eventually we'll probably see some clones, I don't know. So every review I looked up, I've been trying to find a what's the word I'm looking for? A Kayfun type device that provided better airflow than even this guy. This does have the 1.8 millimeter airflow on it. I'm actually going to probably take it apart and drill it a little bit, see if we can get a little bit more. But the biggest gripe about this one is it has the proprietary drip tip on it. You cannot interchange these drip tips, at least not on this top cap. So, you know, it doesn't come off. So I guess it is what it is on that. I'm not really worried about it, but to me, the drip tip on my normal Kayfun is 10 times better. So I'd actually rather use that if it wasn't for it leaked so goddamn much that I don't like to take it anywhere with me because I'm afraid it's going to leak everywhere. So I was looking for something to replace that, but then have the airflow of a fogger, but an easier build. So if anybody's built on a fogger now, they know it's a giant pain in the ass. It's horrible. You have to fill it up, try the wicking method. If it wicked, great. If it, you'd last a couple fills, and the next thing you know, you had to rewick it again. That didn't work, and it was just a pain in the ass. I felt the build quality was poor. The good sign that you had to build quality was poor is when you had to put out 4 different ones afterwards within a couple months of each other. That was probably a pretty good sign that you didn't build it properly the first time. Excuse me, I'm going to lift after this, so doing a little pre-workout. So what I think they created, what Smok created, was an RSBT hybrid. I'm going to vape them real quick. This is with 4 air holes open. Come on, Canna. Just at 13 watts, nothing big. 1.5 ohm coil on there right now. Little not macro coil, little micro coil. You got a glass drip tip, removable. I've tried other drip tips on it, work fine. I do like the glass drip tip. It does get dirty as all hell. And I'm going to take this apart for you, but first off I'm going to say I don't really have a solid review for you here because they're calling it the Kayfun killer in the other videos, and I don't know if I would consider it a Kayfun killer. It's good. The vapor that comes out is much better. I haven't tried the V2 Kayfun yet, so I really don't want to make my judgment yet. And the fact that we have a Kayfun 4 that's already rumored to come out this year. Is it worth waiting? I don't know. Let's dive in. Let's find out. You'll see right on the side it has RSBT Hybrid by Smok on it. Got good enough light in here. So let's take this apart. Here's the really cool part. So you have a glass tank on here with a steel covering. You want to see how well this thread is? Pops right off. That is some of the best threading I've ever seen. It's tightened back on. Very cool. Take that off. So it's just it's a sleeve to make sure that your glass doesn't break. No more Nautilus problems. Now, when I take this off, you're going to see a few things. Okay, we're gonna zoom up here. Okay, so you're going to see a few things here. We have the airflow similar to the Caterpillar. So what you can do is just take this little airflow adjustment and spin it. It's pretty firm, but it's relatively easy to move around. Okay, it makes it so that you can't accidentally unscrew it. It's not going to move from your original settings. It's not going anywhere. Now here's my first complaint. You see that there's not a lot of vapor coming through. And I've tried quite a few builds on here and I've had very little luck with a lot of vapor coming up, but we'll get to that when we dive down. And we'll rebuild it and we'll talk about it. So now from your first sight here, you're going to notice it has a chimney, it has a simple build section that's a lot like a Typhon. The top here is your top fill hole. Very easy to use, very cool. First things first, do not fill this with a regular tip. You need a syringe tip. If you do not use a syringe tip, I've tried it 3 times without a syringe, and every single time I've flooded the air holes. For some reason with the air pressure, it shoves the liquid, because there's not enough air getting out, it shoves the liquid down through the air holes. And next thing you know, you'll flooding unless you completely remove all the liquid from the tank, it will continue to flood. So you're going to see this piece right here. This is the threaded top piece. This piece separates from the actual tank. Okay, you unscrew this, your tank comes off, and you have this chimney piece. Now if you see my wick down there, right there on both sides, this is a single coil, not much of a wick on that side, which is probably why you're hearing a little bit of flooding. It looks like a pro tank. It basically looks like a very large pro tank. You have the little wick coming out on both sides with the chimney above it. There's no special liquid juice channels or anything like that like these other ones have. It just basically flows down to the bottom and all of it catches there. The tank looks very large. It's actually not. It says it's up to 4 milliliters. I'd say it's closer to 3. What happens is once you get past this part, it's going to drop significantly because, as you can tell, the chimney takes up almost that entire glass post right there. So there's very little room on the side of this glass right here for liquid to hold. So in reality, it's more like a 3 milliliter if you want to leave some air in your tank, which I like to. You're going to see the O-ring down here. That's what's holding the glass in place. Okay, and then the only screws, there is no screws in the glass. This piece connects to this top piece, and that screws into this post. There's your chimney. Now your chimney, let's back out here. Your chimney then screws onto a screw that is up there. Boom, you're good to go. And that's how you connect to your drip tip. That was with 2 air holes open, that's not bad. Let's go for 5. Really, really solid. Yeah, you know what? To show you a little bit more, we'll take it down, we'll re-wick it, and we'll talk about it. Alright, let's see you down there. Alright, boys and girls, we've dropped down here. Moving my tools around, sorry, and all I've done is taken out the fill screw, which is right here, and you're going to see the fill port is now open here. Okay, we're going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to take the liquid out, drain it, and you're going to see what it looks like. Now, to drain it is kind of a pain in the ass, I'm not going to lie to you. You got to tilt it because the syringe will not fit all the way down there. Tilt the juice, make sure we get everything out of there. Tilt, 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 tilt. Try to keep this on camera at the same time. I think we've gotten just about most of the juice. We've got a little leaking from the air hole, so let me throw a paper towel down real quick so we can work. So the operations may commence. Bring in the Panzerhounds. Okay. So we've got basically an empty tank, and what I'm going to do is, just to be safe, I'm going to close off all the air holes, so that way we don't have an issue where any of these leak or anything. Okay, so we're going to back this back out real quick, and we're just going to screw this guy off. Again, pretty easy threading, nothing special, and you're going to see it's unscrewing from the top here. Boom. Okay. So we got a glass tank with a threaded hole down there, not too much of a mess. Now I did notice if you do not put enough wick in this guy, he will start to have a problem with the vaping out of the top, and you'll get a lot of condensation down here. So be careful. You can make quite a bit of mess in this glass tank when you go to take it off. Now, again, here's what I'm talking about. The chimney is very small. You have a O-ring right here, which is what holds this piece in place here, and that's where the threading is. Okay, pretty basic. You're going to see my wicks right there. Probably not the best wicking job, but it is one of the best vapes I've had so far. I've done about 7 wicks on here, but we're going to do 8 because we're going to take this off. So all we do is de-thread this top cap, chimney, and voila, there is our build. Now when you look in there, this is really, really basic, so make sure we're not covering up too much light here. Okay. Zoom in here. You're going to see I have a micro coil, and you're going to see these 2 posts right here and right there. These are your screw posts. So you're going to take these thumb screws, unscrew them, wrap your coil around it, tighten down the screws. What I did was take some tweezers and twist these to ensure that these were tightened down all the way. Your coil is running in between where these little slots are and drops in. Okay? Now you want to make sure when you cut your wick that you're cutting it before you hit this O-ring and spreading it out, so that way when the glass tank comes down over this O-ring, you don't have issues with it getting wrapped inside the wick. You want to make sure that wick's nicely separated, okay? So So let me back out real quick here. What we're going to do is pull this wick out, which should come out pretty relatively easy. And you're going to see that we have a little bit of a burn mark on this one. And that's mostly because I tried taking this up to 20 watts to see where the dry spot started hitting. The interesting thing with this rebuildable atomizer, I'm going to dry burn this guy real quick. The interesting thing is this guy actually prospers and does its best job at a lower setting. And I'm going to show you that when we re-wick it and rebuild it. So we got a nice coil going from the inside out. Looks solid. Now when you build your coil, you're obviously going to want to build it in that direction so that way it faces those channels. It is kind of hard to thread, and you got to make sure your coil's high enough that there's enough room to poke that wick through. I did build it a little low the first time. It wasn't a very hard build and it didn't take me very long. All I did afterwards was then take a pair of pliers, twist these posts, make sure it was tight. It's nice and tight, it's not going anywhere, it's getting a good connection. Coil looks good. And we're fine still at 13.5 watts, so nothing crazy. So the coil's now a little bit cleaner. I am using a clear liquid in here, so it's not too bad. The coil's a little bit cleaner. We're going to grab and we're going to try some rayon. If I can find some real quick. Here we go. You'll know when you find rayon because it feels quite a bit different from regular cotton. And it's a little bit harder to play with. You're going to see a lot more fuzzies on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and make it a longer wick. And now normally when you have too much cotton in a Kayfun, you're going to cause flooding. But I think in this type of build, you actually may have better luck with this type of atomizer. So you're going to see you're going to put the cotton through, and a lot of times it's going to get stuck right there. It usually does. Just take something like a little syringe needle or a little screwdriver, whatever you need to do, a little Allen key, and push it through. And what I'm going to do is take tweezers and grab this side and pull it through. And that's all I'm going to do. So now we have our wick threaded through. I'm just going to pull it through. Make sure I get plenty of material in here. Untwist it a little bit. And again, you want it lower than the brim line here because your chimney is going to go right there. It is perfectly threaded to allow, again, just like a pro tank. It's very interesting because it's really set up down here like a pro tank. And if you see my rebuild on the pro tanks, you'd see where that chimney piece comes in. This is just a real big version of it, is what it really comes down to. Okay, so what we're going to do, make sure we're backed out here all the way. Yeah. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to trim it up. Trim it up. What I'm going to do is aim for right there. Right for the edge, and when the atomizer gets built. Okay? What I'm going to do is kind of push some of this to the side because you want to make sure when the tank comes down that there's plenty of room, nothing ends up in the threading, and that this all fits properly. Okay? So that's what my wick's going to look like. We're going to try this wick. Hopefully it vapes well. We won't know until we get down there and try it. So the trick is we're going to wet this a little bit so that way this guy is not in the way of the O-ring. And what we're vaping today is some tropical storm. Cloud 9. Not much left. Shake it up a little bit. And I'm just going to drip a little bit onto these wicks. Okay? Okay. Okay now. Okay, we'll put that. Okay. Okay. Alright, we're just going to take this and we're just going to run it down here. Because what we want to do is take up this entire fill hole. Oh, it'd probably help if I showed you on camera. We want to take up this entire fill hole and we want it to spread around. We want it to keep out of the threading, okay, for the chimney, but we want it to stay also inside of this O-ring, so that way the glass tank does not interfere with anything here, okay? So that's why you got to be careful on the length that you select for your wicks, because you don't want them to be too long, but you don't want them to be too short either. Too short causes a lot of dry hits because there's just not enough wick and not enough juice to cover that small wick. So we're going to push that aside there. Make sure it doesn't get in the way of anything. We'll take the chimney piece, screw it down, and this is where it gets easier to kind of measure out where your wick should be, okay? Because now you can fully see. Zoom out a little bit. You can fully see where the glass is going to come down and where your wick's at. Okay, again, it looks like a lot like a pro tank. When you rebuild a pro tank, there's a little piece of cotton sticking on both sides. It's very similar. I mean, it's kind of amazing that nobody's ever thought of this earlier. Not to say this is the end-all be-all, but it's just, and then it's just interesting that nobody's ever thought, hey, a pro tank does it. Why don't we build something like a large pro tank? So I'm just taking this wick and I'm spreading it out. Spreading it out. Make sure it gets as much juice as possible. Okay. And we're making sure it stays away from this O-ring. We don't want it to get on the O-ring with the glass. They're not German, I just like doing a German accent, I don't know. Okay. I'm going to put that on there. And screw it down. Again, we're keeping an eye on the wick to make sure it's not going down with the glass. The glass isn't pulling it down. And it's not, so we're okay. Feel it tight, and I'm going to stop. You can see the threads are fully up at the top. So, we're going to take our syringe. And here's kind of the trick. You got to make sure there's room for air. Otherwise, it is going to burst out of those holes. And we're just going to fill her up. Okay. It doesn't seem like I put a lot in there. We really don't need a lot. We're just testing it for now. We'll see how it vapes, and you know, I can refill it later. But there's plenty of liquid in there for right now. We'll take the little screw, pop it up. Why don't you cooperate? There we go. And voila, you have the Panzerhound. I'm going to get this dirty wick out of here and throw it in the garbage. Okay, here we are fully built. Again, not very hard to wick. As you guys saw, we probably did that in less than 6 to 7 minutes. Done and done. Okay. What I like to do is tilt it upside down, because what happens is you can see the wick and how much liquid it's capturing. Now you can see all that liquid around that wick. It's capturing that amount of liquid. There's the air bubbles popping. We'll see it refill. Now I'll give some more accurate reading on where our liquid is. Okay. And we've got smoke. Let's pop up top, vape on it, talk about it. Alright, so we're back up top. We've got the hybrid rebuilt. And we're going to take a vape on it real quick. Sorry camera, I didn't mean to fuck up your focus. That's 3 air holes. Let's pop it open to 4. Okay, not bad. So, a couple things. The airflow is probably equivalent to a fogger. The airflow is really, really solid. I'll set this right here so you guys can see it. The airflow is really, really solid. And honestly, is probably comparable to a dripper at 4 to 5 holes. Now, just like a dripper, you're going to lose a lot of flavor going to the 4 or 5 holes. The flavor's there. I wouldn't say it's as good though. Now, the glass windows, very cool. You can see where your liquid's at all times. It's nice to know. To take this top off, all I do is hold my thumb on the airflow control ring. Pops right off. I mean, easy peasy as could be. I locked it somehow. See, very minimal vapor coming out of there, which don't know if that's my doing, if that's just how this device works. Let's see if I can show you how much vapor is coming out of this guy real quick. Again, this is pretty low. There's not a lot of juice in here. It's probably got less than a mil left. So, I mean, I would say it's more than a Kayfun, in my opinion. Now, saying it tastes better than a Kayfun, I don't know about that. I'm really on the fence about that. I don't think it's tastes better than a Kayfun, and again, could be my wicking job, could be the liquid I have in there. They're both the same brand. Oh, you know what? Yeah, this is the pink starburst I've got in here. Pink Cloud. This is Pink Cloud in here. That's on, you know what? Let's try to make it similar airflow. So we'll drop this down to 2 air holes, which I'd say is still a little bit more than a Kayfun, but it's pretty damn close. Okay. Now this one is built with cotton, FYI, so don't think I'm cheating here. Oh, we don't want to fire 50 watts. Alright, 13.5 watts, same as the other device here. I'm on the fence. I'm really on the fence. There's definitely more of a throat hit, obviously. I would say even 2 air holes on this guy is still more than a Kayfun, especially the original 3.1s or a light. Again, I don't have a V2, so I couldn't tell you. Compare that difference. The drip tip is really good. You obviously see more clouds from the Smok Tech hybrid here. I don't know why they call it a hybrid. I did read somewhere that it goes with one of their mech mod devices, and that's why they call it a hybrid. They went together and they looked fantastic together. Where did I purchase this? I want to say it was either from Vapetasia. I want to say it was Vapetasia. Off of eBay for 27 or 24. Don't quote me on it. I want to say 24. $24.99 free shipping. Now, pros. We'll go over pros and cons. So pros comes with everything. You got a glass tank, huge pro. No worry about what juices you're putting in there. You've got a glass drip tip, which fits snugly with no problems, and it vapes really well. It's actually pretty wide bore, as you can tell here, and it does have a wide bore tip in here. Now, the airflow control, I'd say that's a huge pro. The airflow control is awesome. You can turn this guy into almost the airiest thing you've ever taken before. I think honestly it was airier than my Fogger V4, the original Fogger V4, Fogger V4 that was wide open. I think this does get a little bit more air. In my humble opinion. I think rayon in here mutes a lot of the flavor. It did taste a little bit better with the cotton in here. I might just, since it is low, take it back out, throw cotton back in there. I just thought I'd give rayon a try, see if it wicked any better or if it tasted any different. Another pro, pretty easy to build on. Thumb screws, and then thumb screw it down until it's snug, and then just tighten it with some pliers. Pretty simple. We talked about the airflow, the drip tip. The threading, the build quality is all solid. Top fill is solid, solid, solid. Okay, I think that's all for pros. For cons, I noticed a lot of buildup of condensation on the side here. Now this concerns me because it makes me think that this is not fitting snugly into that, which again could be a build quality issue, but I feel like, I mean, these fit snug. That's snug. I mean, it's down there. I mean, it's built. The threading is perfect on it. Again, we see very little vapor coming up from this guy. Now, mind you, I've tried. You might say, oh well, maybe you have too much cotton or rayon in there. Believe it or not, I've tried 7 different builds in here. I've tried very little to where you couldn't even see the rayon or cotton, and I've tried to where you had a long stem and then spread it out, similar to this, but even more. And I've gotten the same result on most of them. And we can bump up the wattage, and you're going to see similar things. You see it coming out the air hole, you see it coming out a little out the top, but not much. Very little true vapor production. I do find that this guy really needs a pull on it too to get that vapor to come out. Drip tip's not fitting in there. Super snug. The O-ring might be loose from the liquid. Great vapor production. You know what's funny is with the rayon, I feel like if I go hotter, it actually comes out a little bit better, whereas I feel with the cotton, the lower end of the spectrum, like 13, 14 watts, is really solid. So it's a little bit different. I'm sure different builds, different strokes for different folks. I did just notice that this drip, I guess it is sitting straight. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm drunk. I did drink a lot last night. Okay. Back to the cons. Focus back here. Cons, thumb screws. I would probably prefer, obviously, normal posts, similar to like a rebuttable or a Kayfun style would probably be easier. I think Kayfun is still even a pain in the ass, but I guess the thumb screws kind of help out compared to a Kayfun where you got to wrap it and then hold it. This one you just wrap it and twist it, so it's not too bad. You do have to take tweezers to it. Very small building deck. Got to have some small hands. If your hands shake or if you have big fat fingers, luckily I don't, that is going to be a pain in the ass to build down there. The other con, they claim it's 4 milliliter capacity. There's no way there's 4 milliliters in there. I've put 2.5 in my syringe and gotten it to where it was about that much left. So there's no way. It's very similar to the Aqua in capacity. I feel like there's almost too much airflow. I think it's awesome that's adjustable. The adjustability is super easy to use, but I feel like there's a little bit too much airflow. I don't think we talked about this, but it does have, see, this is the part where it's hard to unscrew, because there's knurling all over here, so you got to pick the right knurling to unscrew this device. This does have an adjustable center pin, similar to the Fogger V4. Very cool. I'm a fan of that. Let's get that in the light. Just has a simple screw down there. Ooh, we leaked some juice too. We're going to clean that up real quick. You do have to fill with the syringe. If you do not fill with the syringe, you are going to make a mess. It is going to flood. Even if you close all the air hose, fill it, and then open the air holes back up, it will spill everywhere. I've tried it. Don't do it. Use a syringe. You have to fill with a syringe. A button top will not work. And the dog is awake. Oh my. What other cons? I think the chimney is too small. I think the wide base chimney is awesome, and then we come into a piece where it's tiny, 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 and I don't think there's enough vapor coming up. Single coil's a win to me. I'd rather do a single coil. It's very easy to build. I did not like how small the Fogger coils had to be, and that it had to be in dual coil. I could use this on a variable voltage device. I could use it on a DNA 20. I could use it on a mech. I could use it, throw it on a Stingray. I could throw it on a Vamo. I can throw it on whatever I want in single coil and adjust my wattages and whatnot, and it will work, which is really, really cool. I'm going to show you real quick. We vaped it a couple times in the video, and you can see how low the liquid's gotten. So once it goes below that tank, there is not much liquid. You may think it's still full, but you've got maybe 10, 12, 15 hits, and it's going to be out. So this video's gone extremely long. So overall, I want to give this like an 8 or a 9. I think with a few fixes, it would be really, really solid. Really, really solid. I think the building deck could be expanded a little bit. I think the chimney could be opened up a little bit. I don't think we need the smallest chimney in the world. I know it's similar to a Kayfun style. We got the Kayfun where the tip is real small. But you've got a wide bore on the top. You made it where you can open up 5 air holes. Why would you make such a small chimney if you wanted the vapor to come out like that? I don't know. I don't know. Overall, for a non-clone, rebuildable tank atomizer that produces vapor, like that, at 3 holes open, at only 14 to 15 watts. Cloud Chaser's dream for a tank, I'll tell you that much. Plenty of space. We're going to bump it up. Here's 17 watts. Firing at 5 volts and a 1.5 ohm coil. Dry hit. I got a burnt hit there. So, with my build, it could be different depending on how you wick it. I'd say like 14 to 15 watts is optimal. Maybe even drop it even to 13 and 12, depending on your style. But going above that, it's still going to burn, not like a fogger, where fogger can sit on a mech and fire at 30 watts and be fine. It is single coil. I would say because of the way the tank is built, how it's like a pro tank and the juice falls in, you don't have a lot of cotton to absorb all your liquid. Might be different with silica, might be different with Kenjendo, whatever the fuck it's called. But that's my take on it. I honestly, if I had to give him a review right now, I'd say it's between a 7 and an 8. It's real tough. I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and that's my take on it. Is it a Kayfun killer? Not in my opinion. Especially with the V2 out, and the V2 may have that more airflow. I think it's great. I think it's a great device to add to your tank list. I've got like 15 rebuildable tanks and 30 rebuildable drippers, and I still use it, so that tells you that out of the choices I have, I think it's pretty good. Overall, it's a cool device. It'll use on any device. You can use it on your IPV, you can use it on your DNA, you can use it on your variable wattage device. I'm going to recommend it to my friends, especially as a starter tank. It is a starter tank, and for what it is very, very good. That's all I got for you. I know this review's been a long time in the coming. And the fucking English is... This is what happens when I do videos at 9 in the morning. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. This video has been long coming. It's been a long time coming. I wanted to get this out here. One of the first reviewers to do the RBST. I want to be one of the first reviewers to do the tugboat RDA as well. You're going to get your first new clones by me. Stay tuned. We're doing the giveaway, guys. I've thought about it pretty damn hard. We've only picked up a few subscribers since I've done the video. We may be doing some mech giveaways. We might be doing it. I have so many mechs. Okay, I'm running out of hand room. There's 3 more there. The Pegasus is in the living room. Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of mechs here, and I just don't need all of them. I don't use them, and I feel like somebody could give them a great home. So we're going to do this review. We're going to do a battery review coming up. I've had, I think, 7 questions on YouTube in the last week about battery safety. We're going to do a quick up and close with all my batteries. We're going to talk about what I use them for, how to figure out amps and wattages real fast. We're going to do that coming soon. Might see it up today. That's all I got for you guys. Lake OPC. Peace.